We need better public services. How do we get them? And just let me add, an extra money isn't the issue. It's not about let's give them more money, because we give them more money, the services don't improve.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I think the roots of the problem are shared with the other issues that we've discussed. If you have a very highly regulated country, a country which can hardly move without filling in forms and doing this, that, and the other, you're going to have very bad outcomes. You're not going to be trusting people to get on with it. And something you remember from our childhood. This country always used to champion substance over form. Do you remember people saying that? I remember my mother saying it to me. The United Kingdom's legal system, the common law system, everything's allowed unless it's specifically prohibited. You can do whatever you want. It's a free world. The reason the British Empire was so successful was because we were free-wheeling, free-thinking people. We weren't restricted. Our empire didn't come about because we decided we were going to have an empire. It came about because we were just damn good at what we did, commercially, legally, militarily. And there was no aim to have an empire. A lot of European countries set out to create an empire. We didn't. We just got one. And 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 the reason we're unable to organize large events that we used to organize so brilliantly and so easily, build very complex structures. Do you remember how famous we used to be for our engineering and our ability to go and now we say, well, we can't build HS2. HS2 is like, 50, 60 billion pounds over budget, 5 years late or whatever it is. And we couldn't begin to build a nuclear power station. We've got to get the Chinese in or the French to build a nuclear power station. I mean, for goodness sake.
Even more basic than that, we can't even build houses. Every government in the last 40 years have failed to build enough houses, even though they say they wanted to. We can't even build homes.
Yeah. So, and the root of this problem, again, as I say, it's shared with the other issues we've discussed. The removal of personal agency from people so that in charities, in the construction of housing, in the planning system, whatever it is, you've removed the ability for anyone to think on their feet and make a decision. What we've now become very European in the way we govern ourselves, and everything is form filling, box ticking. We're no longer substance over form. We are form over substance. And the European model doesn't work. The European model is an inferior model, and we need to ditch it. And we need to go back to the more freewheeling approach that we had. But of course, even the freewheeling approach, think on your feet, personal agency, taking personal responsibility, etc., won't get over mass migration and all the other issues, high taxation, that makes it difficult for people to or militate against people wanting to get into jobs and then do those jobs well, etc. And so, again, a holistic approach is required. And I think that if we did some of the things I was indicating, we didn't actually talk about policy or how we might solve these problems. But I think in revealing the problems, I think we've kind of touched on how they may be resolved. But, for example, if we repealed the Human Rights Act, the Equalities Act, got rid of DEI, ditched net zero, the whole economic organism that is the United Kingdom would just suddenly rise up of its own accord. You would see us all. That's why I say the economy has to play second fiddle to these other things at the moment because they're actually destroying our ability to be prosperous. So, yeah, I mean, I think our whole public sector would improve naturally as a result of all the other steps that would be required to put this country back on its feet again.
Yeah, the 10 years I worked in government, the things I would suggest is we need to make it easier to hold those civil servants to account. They're not held to account. They're not held to account for the money they spend. The money in my department was called funny money because we never knew where it came from. We didn't call it taxpayers' money. We called it funny money. The waste, the incompetence, and most of government that I've seen, the biggest aim of that department is to ensure that when mistakes happen and things go wrong, because things always go wrong,
it's not their fault.
That's exactly it. And the best example would be social workers. Social worker is the most difficult job I've ever come across. I've not been a social worker, but I've worked alongside them. It's the most difficult job you can possibly do. And the reason why this job gets more and more difficult is because every time there's a tragedy and a child dies, and a child will always die, especially at the hands of its parents, we're never going to stop that completely. But because of the outrage and the press attention, politicians come down hard on social workers who then spend all their time now ticking boxes. So when the next child dies, they can't get blamed.
This is what I mean about form over substance. I mean, this is an example of it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
They're ticking
absolutely.
boxes and they're worried about third party liability and they're covering their asses rather than doing their job.